Okay, well, our final question here this week on the Drive-Thru Gym was sent in to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi.
Oh, for heaven's sake. All right, I knew it had to happen.
In a recent interview, Cody Rhodes said that AEW is a mix of old and new school wrestling. Cody said, quote, "I like Memphis wrestling, Southern wrestling. I revel in that old school. If you mash that up with the new school and create something new, like Darby Allin does or MJF, people will let you know how much they love it." What are your thoughts on Cody's take on AEW?
Well, with Darby Allin and MJF, they have in effect taken new guys, but it wasn't. Especially with MJF, it's not really a mashup. He would have been a talent in any generation, so it's not mashing the old with the new. MJF is a pro wrestling guy. Darby Allin, to me, the mashing of the old with the new is just his size. A guy of his size may not have gotten an opportunity, in the old days, but if, as we've talked about here on the show and when we've done the AEW reviews, he's got something. He's graceful. He's athletic. He's got a charisma. He's got a newfangled gimmick, which is a mashup also. But still, he would have probably, cut the mustard, as they say, in the territory days. Where the mashup to me that doesn't work is when you get your My Little Dog Pockets or your Riho or your all the other stuff that we talk about that is just, that's like mashing up strawberries with mashed potatoes. If you put strawberries in your mashed potatoes, people are probably not going to fucking like it because it kills the potatoes and the strawberries. And so that's, to me, is why I think the show is schizophrenic. If you're going to do that fucking Invisible Man, video game cosplay wrestling bullshit, then do it. But if you're going to try to do real wrestling, real pro wrestling, traditional pro wrestling on the same program, I don't think it works because the strawberries that you put in the old time wrestling fans' mashed potatoes make them not like the old fashioned wrestling or not want to stick around to see it, and vice versa. The people who just want to see video game bullshit, they're not going to necessarily like in most cases, they actually can like the old-fashioned wrestling classics because they get involved in that. It's just this new horse shit that the classic wrestling fans don't like. That we've said it before. Young people can watch the old stuff on YouTube and get into it, but the old-time fans hate the new shit and can't get into it because it just doesn't fucking work for what wrestling is. So, So I don't think his analogy is correct because they're not mashing old with new, but the only shit that actually fucking makes sense is the young guys doing the old shit.
And it drives me crazy. And they started it when people compare it with Mid-South Wrestling, because there was nothing about Mid-South Wrestling on the show other than the fact that Jim Ross exists on this program.
Yes.
You watch Mid-South Wrestling, and there's a plausibility that's applied to everything. Everything's explained. Everything makes sense. Even if something isn't on that show, they address it. They talk about it. It's not something happens at a segment and then it is forgotten for weeks. It is not things that are completely, even if something isn't plausible, try to explain it so that it is. They don't have that. Yeah. There's nothing Mid-South Wrestling, and I know Mid-South Wrestling as well as anyone. There's nothing that's like Mid-South Wrestling on this show. But on that topic, we didn't even talk about it.
Well, All Elite Wrestling is a combination of two things. It's a combination of late 90s era WCW television, and I'm not saying that as a knock. That's the way that it looks and is formatted and is presented, and the other combination is with modern indie level bullshit.
It's WCW Nitro meets Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Well, there you go.
What did you think? We didn't even talk about this on the show, and it's one of those things that I really hate. Their fans seem to like, but that opening car crash tag team match, the 4 teams just going out and doing everything they can to the point where I was exhausted. That spot with the suplex where all 8 guys are suplexing each other. And we can, it doesn't even matter that it's Orange Cassidy who gets in there and he's the deciding vote, or, for lack of a better term, in the suplex. It's the actual spot itself. What do you think of that? I hate that kind of shit.
Well, no, it's stupid and ridiculous, and it tells, once again, everybody that's in the arena and everybody watching on television, okay, we just want to remind you, as if you needed it, we're all working together. Nobody means any of this. And we just, we're tickling ourselves. And it's just a way for them to shoehorn the fucking idiot, My Little Dog Pockets, into the thing. They still don't want to pull the trigger and actually have him have a match because it will get such backlash from people who are so offended by the fact that he's on the program. But they think if they do these little things, then people maybe not get sick of him or whatever. I don't know, but it's just fucking stupid. And to do that on national television, I will admit, people say, Cornette never admits when he's wrong or he's done something bad. I'll say this and then we'll play our songs. I did a stupid spot like that one time for my own amusement, and I'm not proud to admit it now with the, stand I've taken. But yeah, at St. Teresa's Gym in downtown Louisville, at one of our church gym practice shows, we had a 10-person tag match with the Disciples of Sin and Sin against Kenny Bolin and the Bolin Services Group. And we did the old fucking spot. I told him to do it because I wanted to see it. It's my girlfriend and my best friend and a bunch of guys in wrestling school in front of 60 people in a church, and it was not being taped. I said, all right. And as before, cell phones. So just see if you can do this. The headlock chain, where the babyface grabs a headlock or the heel grabs a headlock on the babyface, right? Then here comes a babyface, grabs a headlock on a heel, and here comes a heel, and they do that. And finally, right in front, the last person to grab a headlock, Bolin is somewhere near the front, but the last person to grab the headlock is Sin. Now there's 10 people in a headlock chain. I said, all right, throw Sin into the ropes when she comes and hits the next person. Then all of you take the bump. Is one tackle, right? 9 people take a bump. Now, this will be funny, and we'll get a laugh, and it won't hurt anybody, and it'll lighten up the tension, whatever. Bolin's big fucking feet, and the fact that even then he was past 400 pounds and almost immobile, he stepped on somebody as they started to do the little shoot-off, and it just looked like fucking dominoes. Sin ran and hit the ropes, but because Bolin and his weight and everybody was holding on to each other, and it's impossible to fucking make him go any direction he doesn't want to go, when she comes back off the ropes, he had tripped the entire other 9 fucking people by being in the middle of that. When he stepped on somebody's foot and tripped them and he fell, he took everybody with him. She ran back and there was nobody standing up to fucking run into. I said, all right, that's karma. I'm gonna ditch the fucking comedy spots. And we did so yeah, I think that goddamn suplex on national television from a supposed big budget, operation. It's just they can't be serious. And that's what, once again, pisses me the fuck off. They've been renewed for 4 years because the standard of viewership and with the viewers you need to draw is lessened so greatly. But they've been renewed, and they've got a billionaire backing them, and they've got national cable television. They have all these assets going for them, and they can't get their head out of this fucking local, yokel, rec center, PWG, outlaw indie bullshit enough to make a product that people could not be embarrassed about or think is just all bullshit. And we're just all kidding. We're just all putting on a show. They just can't get their heads out of their ass and be serious. And that's the most offensive thing to me. They just can't do it no matter how hard they try. Well, they don't even try. Cody tries. MJF tried. The people who are trying to be serious are doing well at it and are getting over. And the other people are having the same fucking shit they do every week, and then they're giggling about it.
It all comes from the top.
And shit runs downhill.